Hey everybody, it's Motley GM here with you once again with my fourth video in my 5-video series of games that I recommend you play as an alternative to that corporate game that is always in the news so much. In this video, I get to showcase one of my absolute favorite OSR games of all time, and that's Knave 2nd Edition. This is a classless OSR game that does OSR right in this GM's opinion. I also get to take a moment to showcase Ben Milton, who created this game. If you don't know who Ben is, fix that by subscribing Questing Beast here on YouTube. I'll put that channel down below. Sign up for his newsletter, which is also awesome. Ben is just one of those guys in the tabletop community you can just feel pretty good about supporting. I do have some of his other work here as well for you to see, and this is stuff that I got from backing this project on Kickstarter. Just as a reminder, I've not been paid for this at all. I'm just doing this because I absolutely love Knave, and I like the work that Ben does in the OSR community. So Ben, if you ever see this, first of all, wow, I can't believe you're watching my video. Second of all, thank you so much for what you do, man. But let's go and take a look at a couple highlights of Knave 2, and I'll tell you a little bit about why I like this game so darn much. All right, everybody. So a little tiny bit of history here. Ben Milton wrote Knave, the first edition, and that was originally released, I believe, August 26th of 2018, which is one day after my birthday. So close. It wasn't printed as far as I know, but it was available in PDF. At least I only had the PDF. I never saw a printed version that you could buy. Knave 2nd Edition was just released the year I'm recording this, 2024, after a successful Kickstarter campaign. I believe the official completion date is considered June 12th of 2024. I received my copy in early July. The artwork in this book here is done by Peter Mullen and is wonderful. I love the artwork here. It's perfect for what I feel is an intentional tone for the game, and it does it beautifully. The execution of how the artwork gives the book a feel of its own and kind of gives you a tone that's very unique to Knave. Go back to my video on why I don't think all D20 games are the same, why I think that's important, but it's just so awesome. You look at that artwork and you know, oh, I'm about to play Knave 2nd Edition, and for somebody like me, that just makes me want to play it, or in my case, run it, because I've really enjoyed running it a lot. Knave 2nd Edition is a 6-stat D20 based, very familiar system, but doesn't have any classes. And anyone in this game can cast a spell so long as they have a spell book. And I think that's just pretty cool. This is really just OSR rules light done properly. I'll probably say that 700 times through this video, but I can't tell you how impressed I am on all the details in such a compact book. You really get a lot out of what seems like a little, and that's one of the beautiful things about how Ben writes stuff. It doesn't seem like a lot until you really look at it and realize, oh my gosh, there is really so much here. And I'll point to the roll tables again. Ben's known for his roll tables, and those alone make the book worth it. But I highly recommend getting anything that Ben does that has roll tables in it. Just do it, it's great. Knave 2nd Edition also uses a slot inventory system that I like, and that inventory system ties into life and death, and I'll go over that in the PDF a little bit. So I know I'm gushing over this already before we even get there, but this really gives that OSR feel and tone beautifully in a way that combines both that nostalgia and gives that newness that this channel is really all about. In my personal opinion, not many OSR games rival Knave 2nd Edition. I believe it stands head and shoulders above many other games. In the OSR space, Knave 2nd Edition is, if not at the top, it's really near the top. And again, that's just this GM's opinion, but I also love rules light games that are easy to run, that are easy for players to pick up, and that allow me and my players to be creative and to think more than just look at a sheet and see what I can do. Knave does that so well. As far as the books go, I have the premium copy here because I am a snob, which is gorgeous and beautiful, as you might be able to see. I'll just open this a little bit for you so you can take a look. Roll tables, as I said, awesome. Artwork, love it. Great book, but don't sleep on the basic version of this book. The artwork on the outside of that is actually so cool. I'm considering buying that just to add to my collection because of how good it looks. I really regret not having that artwork, but there's also a poster available, so maybe I'll get both. Who knows? I'm a collector that way. And these aren't very expensive either, so it's not hard to get a second copy if I want the regular one. Either one you get, the game that it contains is just as awesome. So let's go head over to the PDF. Let me show you some of the stuff I really like about Knave. Maybe get you a little more interested in this game if you haven't before. Again, this is for if you're leaving that corporate game system and you're trying to come into something that's familiar and easy to pick up. That's what this whole list is about that I'm doing. Knave is number 4 on that list. I'm not doing this necessarily in order from best to worst on that 5. They're just 5 I recommend. I randomly put them in order based on nothing. I literally just put them in a random order, and Knave came up number 4. Knave 2nd edition. Let's go to the PDF, guys. Hey guys, we're here at the PDF, and I thought I'd take a second just to show you the 1st edition of Knave. It is 7 pages long, and in its simplicity, it's just beautiful. This is how I first was introduced to Knave, and what got me to want to back the Kickstarter. So just so you got a chance to take a look at that, but let's take a look at Knave 2nd edition. Now this is the artwork on the non-premium book, so you can kind of see what I was talking about as just, I really enjoy the artwork in this book. Well done, sir, Peter Mullen. As always, I'm a big fan of these games that can really simplify rules to a couple of the inside pages, which they did wonderfully here. When you see that, you're typically going to find a game that I like personally. And again, artwork. Simple but beautiful. Take a chance to look at the people who made this game. They deserve that credit. All right, let's highlight some of the stuff I really like. So here we get to see this is a very typical D20 game here with D20 using modifiers that you aim to beat a target number, essentially. So just your basic D20 system, very familiar. I also have to show you right here in the very beginning of the book, pages 2 and 3 are the Game Master and Player duties. And these are really awesome, concise little reminders, and it also sets up the tone of the game really well. And I think this is great for new people especially. And if you're coming from that corporate game, the prepare to die thing is important, because in the OSR, you die. It happens. It's happened to a few of my players, and it will happen. So that's one of the beauties of the game and why one of the things I like so much about it. On the next page, we see right away those very familiar 6 ability scores. And we have a very simple PC creation. It's literally half of this page tells you how to set up a PC, and anytime you can simplify PC creation, I'm a big fan. Beautifully done. Speaking of beautiful, the level up system here is nice and simple, like everything else is. This uses a gold equals XP style of leveling up, but as always, you can insert a milestone here instead. So the other thing I want to point out on this page is the item slots and wounds. So you get item slots, and that's how you carry things. When you lose all of your hit points, you start to take wounds. And what happens is each one of your item slots counts as a wound. So you take an item slot, whatever gear is in there is lost, and that's your wound. Once you fill up all of your slots with wounds, your player character dies. I love this system. I actually think this is a great way to deal with both death and dying and with inventory management, and it's combined into one thing, and I can't tell you how much I think that's just a great system. Here on page 19, page 13 in the physical book, there's some delving rules, and I really like the fact that there are delving rules. It adds a bit of that OSR spice and just gives that little something to the game that reminds you, hey, the OSR gaming really deals a lot with delving. And I'll point this out a couple times, but the roll tables, again, amazing. Now, the combat here I feel is very streamlined. It's basically checks and saves. It's simple, and I really like that. You use strength for weapons, you use wisdom for ranged attacks. Very easy. I really love that combat. It has maneuvers kind of spelled out here as these are skill checks, essentially, and that's how it should be played in the middle of fighting. I really, really enjoy that. I also very much like the morale test. I think this is important because not every NPC is going to fight to the death every time. Some are going to run. Some are going to try to negotiate. Some are going to try to buy their way out, or one of the many other things that might happen. But the fact they give you a little check here to see if that's going to happen, I like that. It's a nice little touch that should be pointed out. I also enjoy the simple spell casting. You get a spell book and an action. That's it. They can carry or use a number of spell books a day equal to your intelligence. Spell books can be used once a day. It's really, really simple, and I very much like that. Check out spellcasting. Again, with the classless system, having anybody be able to cast spells, this is a simple way of keeping track of it. And you could essentially be a full caster character this way too. And I typically like roll to cast, but the way that it's spelled out here, it's hard to not just enjoy how fluid and simple it is. I want to jump ahead here and point out something I think is really cool. The warfare pages here are awesome. This gives you the ability in a rules-like game to have warfare against actual armies. And this is something I plan on using in the near future here to give my players the ability to run an army and to actually command that army and use tactical decisions because of that. And I think this is really awesome that in such a rules-light game it includes this, and it doesn't lose the rules-light aspect by including these warfare rules. You could even take these warfare rules and use them for other OSR games without changing anything, and I think that's wonderful. Recruiting is awesome and goes along with that warfare because where are you going to get your soldiers from? This gives you a really good idea of how that might work, how you can recruit the different people you may want on board, and then you take that and run with it. And of course, as always, it gives you a wonderful, wonderful roll table so you can have plenty of different types of characters that make up your armies. And roll tables, roll tables, roll tables. It's what Ben is known for. He executes them beautifully in this game, as you would expect. Now, I'll point out the bestiary back here. It's not the longest bestiary, but because of the roll tables that you also get, the amount of creatures that now become available is almost innumerable. And I really, really love that about this. It even gives you, here on page 67 of the PDF, all the rules on how to create your own monsters. So you literally have thousands of different possibilities at your fingertips at any time, instantly making this bestiary much larger than it appears, much more complex than it appears, and allows for so much creativity to fit enemies and creatures that fit your world. And that's always going to be a bonus and a plus on the channel here. Here on page 77 of the PDF is the designer's commentary, and this is where Ben really writes down his thinking on why he did certain things or where those ideas came from or the ideas behind them, even listing some inspirations for it. And I really appreciate this. As somebody who likes to add in rules or even manipulate rules sometimes, getting the idea behind why and some of the inspirations really adds to understanding the atmosphere of the game better and gives you as a creator a chance to see his creative process and how that might inspire you as you create. And I always appreciate things like that. It's small, but it's appreciated. I'm going to stop and appreciate some artwork for a second. I really enjoy some of these drawings. He uses that old style, just black and white ink and shading. I mean, that really does evoke that retro feel. It's spooky, it's simple, but it's also got it's just got that certain atmosphere that I really enjoy. I mean, how awesome is this? I really just want to give the artist a chance to shine for a second because there's some really awesome artwork. The style of artwork is something I really appreciate in OSR style games, and it's just executed beautifully. It really evokes that feel I was talking about earlier. And it also ties the game together in a sense. You could probably tell already how much I like Knave 2nd Edition. Let's go back to the table, and I'll give you some of my final thoughts on this master class of OSR. Hey guys, back at the table here to close things out. And you know, I said it already, and it bears repeating. In this GM's overly loud opinion, Knave 2nd Edition is rules light OSR done right. Period. It has that retro feel that definitely streamlines early D&D rules while adding clarity and a certain fluidity. adding just enough restraint in the form of rules to give a great deal of creative freedom for both players and GMs alike. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. It so fits my style of GMing that it's almost like either he runs games exactly like I do, or we have a very similar mindset on how games should run, because I absolutely love the rules in this book and how they're presented and the way it gives GMs freedom to consider instead of just sticking to this is the way the rule is written type of thing. It also promotes player creative thinking and problem solving over just looking at the character sheet. And I alluded to that before, but that's another thing that bears repeating. It really does have the players thinking about their environment, thinking about what they're capable of doing just by being characters in that world. I just love the way that this game just brings that out in players just by the way it's written. If you like OSR games, even if you tend towards the crunchier games, you'll really appreciate a lot of what Knave has in there. And if nothing else, definitely has some things you might want to take and insert into one of your other OSR style games. And I've said it before, and I'll say it one more time before I close everything out. Knave 2nd Edition can easily be your one and done OSR style fantasy role-playing game. And I say that with confidence. If you got Knave and decided this is the only system I ever want to run, you could easily do that for the rest of your life. It's a well thought out, well organized game that's familiar while adding in a retro feel and newer game sensibilities and putting them together in a beautiful blend. And that's what this channel is all about. I can't gush enough. So I better shut myself up now and close this video out, because I could probably go on for hours and make this video way too long. Let me give a huge shout out to Ben Milton over on Questing Beast. He was one of the larger influences and inspirations for my little low budget channel here. I'd also like to give a shout out to everybody else who backed the project on Kickstarter. If you also have copies because you backed it on Kickstarter, then hey, good job for backing this project, because it's totally worth it. I have no regrets backing this project whatsoever. I hope that you guys who backed the project have enjoyed this game as much as I have. So all that being said and done, guys, before I keep rambling, keep playing those OSR games like Knave 2nd Edition and support their creators. And as always, be sure that you play for fun first. Thanks for watching, everybody.